It is a fundamental and essential part of the human spirit, of human endeavour, that you always think for yourself and question everything. So I was once having a chat with a lad who, similar age to myself, and we were talking about he grew up in Russia back in the Soviet USSR days of the totalitarian regime that they had, and we were just discussing, you know, our different growing up years, and I was making the point to him that, you know, you guys had such a lockdown press and media. You know, what do people make of it? Were people reading, say, Pravda, their main newspaper, their main publication, which was obviously a government funneled information? And he said, yeah, but everybody knew it was bunk. Nobody took that seriously. We all knew it was crap. We just usually bought it for the sports or the cartoons or whatever. Nobody took any of that seriously. And why do I bring that up? Well, we here in Ireland, we have a state broadcaster, RTE, Radio Television, and I long since stopped watching it and listening to it. It's just painfully biased now, and it's they have to go cap in hand to the government every, it seems, couple of months, because they're always verging on bankruptcy. They're always going broke. They're totally dysfunctional in terms of a business model. And you know the saying, whoever pays the piper calls the tune. So that, and added to the fact that most of the people working in RTE today are very progressive. They're very lefty leaning. They're very woke, and you add those two things together, and it's not a place I want to be. There's nothing there for me. I have nothing really to be gained by buying into all that. So something came my way this week. Somebody brought it up that they had done a piece on the Clareborn Live show, which is one of our current affairs programs, on fake news. Fake news is basically now the catch-all phrase for the mainstream media to pretty much brand anyone who doesn't completely buy their information, their worldview, whatever they're selling. Anybody who doesn't buy into that 100% is a nut job. It's some kind of a Looney Tunes whack job. And the fake news is just bandied around to basically be thrown at anyone who doesn't 100% swallow the narrative. And they did this program, and they interviewed Jean Murray, who is a person like myself, just out in the world doing their thing, and again, like myself, somebody who doesn't just go to RTE, BBC, CNN, Fox News. I mean, I will tic-tac with them here and there, depending on what day or what's going on in the world. But a lot of the time, I will have my own sources. And in a lot of times, I will go back to the actual source. I mean, it's all there for you. We've never lived in an age like this. We have not only the critical faculties to think about things and decide for ourselves, but we also have access at our fingertips to information on pretty much anything. And I don't mean like tinfoil hat stuff. I mean information as in the source information, which I will often have a look at, a gander at. Not always, but sometimes if I'm really interested in something, I'll eventually end up back at the source. It could be an actual document, a study, a law, a constitutional thing. It's all there for you. It's not hard to find it. There's nobody It's not like the Vatican archives where it's all locked away and nobody gets in. This stuff is all around if you want to bother going looking for it. Now, most people don't bother. They're not that interested. They don't have the time, and that's fine. But to just think that the RTEs, the BBCs, the Fox News, the CNNs, if you think they're completely and utterly unbiased and that they just tell you what's going on and let you make up your own mind, you would be very much mistaken. Maybe that used to be the case at one time. Bomb goes off in Beirut. Okay, fair enough. Not much you can, do with that. Make of it what you will. But nowadays, it's not just about telling you what's happening in the world. It's about telling you what's happening in the world and what you should think about it. This is what really gets my goat. And it's so often, when you know this is the case, you just get a pain in your face listening to some news reports. They're so laced with, here's what's happening, here's who the good guys are, here's who the bad guys are, and this is why it's happening. Now, a lot of the times, this is completely subjective. I know this for a fact because on some occasions, maybe when something just didn't sit right with me for some reason or other, just for the hell of it, I'd go back and check. I might watch the actual footage or various different angles of the actual footage, which you can do now. There's always loads of information. And I don't mean some talking head talking shite and what they think about it. I'm talking about actual body cam footage, actual phone footage, actual drone footage. It's all there if you want to bother looking for it. Or in the case of maybe discussing a law or something, go back and read the law. Go back and read it. Or go back and read the study. You'll see, study says, what study? Where did the study come from? Who did the study? And what was the study made up of? You can go look it up yourself. Or you can go look up who did the study. And oftentimes you find, study says, a study does say, but who wrote the study? People who believe a certain thing. So the study was always going to say a certain thing. And, then it gets brought up and used by a news organisation who, again, want you to think a certain thing. This is all very subtle, and it's a science now, but it goes on all the time. And RTE, they project themselves as just being the authoritative, Jesus Christ, the authoritative voice, when in fact they're as biased as any news organisation could be. So we have this Claire Byrne clip here. Let's have a quick look-see at this, and let's see what you think of this angle and how they frame what they call fake news and how they view it.
Legitimate questions about vaccines, coronavirus and how governments have responded to the pandemic. The last year has also seen a growth in fake news when it comes to COVID. We decided to take a closer look at this phenomenon, and earlier I spoke to Jean Murray, who believes many of these conspiracy theories. Now, it may be frustrating for you to listen to Jean because a lot of what she says, you'll know, is based on false information. But we wanted you to hear what she believes, why she believes it, and how she sources her information.
So you see what I mean there? She was almost spitting that out. How imagine a person outside the pale, a person who doesn't buy what we're selling, by the very idea, and she's kind of, having a tete-a-tete with the audience, many of whom, just live on a diet of this every day. And she's kind of saying, look, well, obviously anybody who doesn't buy into what we've got going, you and me, us, anybody who's not buying into that is obviously a lunatic. and dangerous and completely unhinged. And she's almost apologising. Well, she is apologising for even entertaining somebody of that ilk. Like, you know, I know these people are utterly beyond the pale, despicable individuals, but you know, we got to at least highlight the problem. I mean, this is horrendous. It's just, you really have to be steeped in this for this not to jar. It the tone, you know, like the human race has only developed to where it is now because there was differences of opinion, there was differences of viewpoints, there was competing ideas, and I sometimes wonder, are we regressing? Even in the so-called free West, are we going backwards where different opinions are becoming verboten, or at least unfashionable, or must be demonized? There is one opinion and you must have that opinion, and if you don't, you are a bad person, possibly a dangerous person. I mean, are we going that way? Is that where we're going? That's scary. I don't like that. No. You have to give people credit. Let people, tell them what's going on, let them make of it what they will. We've all got critical faculties. We've all got the ability to think. We've all got the ability to reason. We won't come up with the same opinions. We won't come up with the same views, but that's what makes the world interesting. The fact that we have differing opinions, the fact that we can compete in an argument. And oftentimes, and it has happened to me many times, I will change my view or opinion on something because somebody's got a better argument. They've got more information, or they make me see that my view is illogical or isn't fully formed. And that is wonderful when that happens, because you're growing, you're learning. You know, it's not dogmatic. Never be afraid to admit when you get more information or when you get a different viewpoint that suddenly makes you see a thing a different way. I think that's the healthiest thing in the world. I think that's the best thing ever. It's certainly nothing to be ashamed of. It doesn't mean that you're a bit of an idiot or a bit of a klutz. It means that you're open. And when somebody has a better argument, you can accept it. You can grow into it. And I would like to think as well, on the same ticket, that maybe I've changed other people's minds along the way, here and there. That maybe something I said or some information that I had made somebody think about a thing in a different way. That's amazing. That's wonderful. No matter which way that swings, it's all good. So let's have another look at this next bit. All right, so straight away you can see the framing here of Jean, and nothing about this is random. The lighting is horrendous. It's all dark, shadows everywhere, you know, black shapes all over the place. It looks like she's in a dungeon there. It looks like she's in the depths of somewhere. And that is done purposely. And this was pre-recorded. It wasn't live. And if you think anything happens randomly in these situations, it doesn't. People sit around tables and talk about this. They discuss this. They make a plan. Somebody comes in and they check the plan and they greenlight the plan. Jean was brought into the situation here, just a normal person who doesn't fully, let's say, buy in to the line that they're peddling. But she wasn't brought in. She was brought in under the guise of, well, let's see what the person has to say. But she was brought in to basically be assassinated, metaphorically. It was a hit piece. It was, we have to show the people out there, our followers, our disciples, our club, which is most of normie Ireland, if you like. We have to show those people that anybody who steps outside the narrative or steps outside the given line of reasoning is in some way nuts or unhinged, or there's something wrong with them, or they're dangerous, or they're just a wacko. So immediately you see from the piece that they framed Jean in a completely disingenuous situation. That could have been rectified. Somebody could have said, listen, Jean, the lighting's terrible there. Can you get a lamp or something and we can maybe make the thing look a bit more presentable? She's obviously at home. But no, the lighting was known to be desperate. And now I don't know if they've done anything in post. It was, as I said, edited, cut, spliced, all that. Maybe they darkened it, maybe they didn't. I don't know. But even if they didn't, it should have been said, Jean, look, we've got to work on this. Get a lamp, get a flashlight, get something, and we can maybe position things and make you look 100 times better. Did they do that? No. The reason they didn't do that is because they wanted this look. This is what they wanted. This looks desperate. It looks terrible. It makes Jean look like she doesn't know what she's doing there. Everything is black and dark and dire and glim and glum. That's part of the plan. And no, this is not tinfoil hat stuff. Look, you're looking at it. You can see it. Look. It looks horrendous. I mean, I don't even know what I'm doing, and I can get a better look than that. All right, let's see what Jean has to say. Let's see what this very, very dangerous and unreasoned person has to say.
Absolutely. I don't accept that it's a deadly, serious pandemic. I don't think a lockdown was necessary. And that's just not based on my imagination. I'm not a scientist. I don't have a science.
You see Claire looking there like she's just about holding it together with this onslaught of craziness. This onslaught of, oh my God, how can I hold it? She's just about keeping her stature there, as Jean, you know, imagine a person thinking for themselves and not just believing what we tell them to believe. I mean, God, how do you even fathom such a thing? So again, this is part of the plan. People are supposed to be sitting at home saying, God, poor Claire in the middle of all this craziness. How does she keep it? How does she keep her sanity? So let's go on with what Jean is saying.
My only skill is a business certificate, and a hairdressing certificate, but I am a very good reader and I love to read various informations of world news. Now
that's a very important point. Most people aren't scientists or virologists or immunologists or anything, whatever the, explosive experts or bomb experts or geopolitical experts. Most of us aren't any of that. But we all can read, and we all have thinking, faculties and reasoning faculties. And there has never been a time, and there's never been an age in human history where there was so much instantaneous access to information on any subject you could possibly imagine. It's all there on the internet, and you can go off and you can read the actual study from Yale or MIT or Trinity College or whatever. You can actually go and read the study. You can go and read dissertations or papers or whatever from various immunologists, virologists, or whatever to do with this particular issue that we're discussing here. All the information is there. It's not secret. It's not held in the Vatican archives. It's available to you if you have the time and if you have the inclination. Jean is, in my opinion, very reasonably stating that she just likes to read things. Maybe she's read studies, maybe she's read papers from various PhDs or experts. I don't know what she's read. But anyone can do that. Most people don't want to do that. They're not bothered to do that. So they just resort to listening what Claire Byrne and Luke O'Neill and the other cool kids have to say about it, and they just get on with their day. But for somebody like Jean, and I would be of the same mind, most things don't bother me that much, but now and again I'll get passionate about something, or I'll have an actual interest in something, and I may dig into the information. It's all there. It's all there. You can actually go in and get the real footage. You can watch the full footage. You can watch different angles of how a thing happened. It's all available if you have the time and the inclination. But by the tone and tenor of this piece, as you're seeing, they don't want you to do that. They don't want you going off the reservation at all. Just buy what we're selling you, and that's enough. Don't do your own thinking. We've done the thinking for you. Here's this regurgitated baby food paste. I want to eat steak. I don't want to eat some paste that's been pre-chewed. I don't want that. Thanks, I'll just make my own way. So
that was my only skill, but I did resource other information, like of credited people, and to see what they had to say. I was kind of listening to all the signs.
Claire's biting her lip there. I don't know how she keeps it together in the face of this absolute heresy. The poor woman, and she's only on $250,000 a year. I mean, they're not paying her enough for this, because she's obviously, she's almost at her limit there of listening to such a person stating such utterly tinfoil hat out there heresy. I mean, $250,000 a year wouldn't pay you. It wouldn't pay you.
In fact, and I was also listening to the guys on RTE, Luke O'Neill, Simon Harris at the time. But then I was also using my own logic and intellect and instinct, because even though we heard there was a deadly pandemic, I couldn't see it on the streets. I couldn't see it outside my door. We have a vast family, and I certainly didn't see it inside of my family. So I was very suspicious as to where this pandemic was,
So what's unreasonable about that? I mean, Jean is quite clearly stating here that she wasn't off out in the far reaches of the nether universe looking for, under rocks for any conspiracy. She was listening to these people here, Claire Byrne and Luke O'Neill and Simon Harris and all the so-called cool kids. She was listening to them. She was giving them a hearing. She was taking in everything they had to offer, and on top of that, she was going off and doing her own sourcing. What's unreasonable about that? Isn't that what we should all do? I mean, the narrative is just that. It's a narrative. I mean, it may be true, it may be not true, it may be partly true. But if you are a thinking, rational, normal human being, and you have an interest, then go and check it out. Test it. See where it came from. Go read the studies that they're quoting. Go look at the footage. Go read the novel or the book from X professor, Y professor. Go watch some podcasts where expert virologists or immunologists or whatever are discussing the problem. It's all there for you. It's not top secret. It's not MI5 stuff. So that's what Jean is saying. Look, I listened to all what you guys had to offer, and I went off and I found extra information, and I put it all together and added into this stew. I also had my own experience. Where's the lie there? What bit of that isn't reasonable? You see, but it's not reasonable to these people, because how dare she not just take exactly what they're giving and leave it at that. How dare she? Imagine. Like, we know what's good for you. Don't you dare question us. Okay, so let's move on to the last segment I've got for you here. So this is the bit where they bring in the boffins, you know, the experts, the people who've done the research, who've crunched the numbers, and they're just going to drive home, they're just going to reinforce the whole narrative that they've been building. This is performative art. This is truly amazing to watch how they craft these things. But follow along with me if you will. So what we've got here is Claire is now in studio, and she has got Dr. Eileen Cullity, who is a postdoctoral researcher in Dublin City University, I believe. She has co-authored a book to do with fake news in the media and misinformation and all that sort of good stuff. So she's the resident expert in fake news and fakery in the media. So let's see what Dr. Eileen has to tell us.
I suppose what we really want to know is, if this comes to our door, to our families, our friendships, how do we deal with it? What is the right strategy?
If this comes to our door, this is like, good Lord, lock up your children. The plague is upon us. The 4 horsemen have arrived. The Black Death has re-emerged in the form of fake news. You see how this is like, it's now being described as complete cataclysmic problem in society. What do we do if this comes to our door? Please, doctor, tell me.
Well, it's a very difficult scenario, and Amanda's story makes that really clear. But if viewers are worried about somebody, it's important to intervene quite early, because if it goes too far and if somebody goes too far down that rabbit hole, they can become unreachable.
Thought she was going to say they could become a zombie, but she pretty much means the same thing. So it's like, oh my God, I think, can't let little Johnny watch that YouTube because, I'll turn around one day and he'll be goose stepping around the kitchen table. I can't. This is a horrendous danger to society. Somebody could become infected, and next thing they're trying to eat your brains. If you see 2 puncture marks in the neck, oh my God, Dracula, the curse of Dracula is upon us. This is just apocalyptic nonsense here.
Well, we often talk about conspiracy theories and conspiracy theorists as though they're all the same and it's one homogeneous block, but in actual fact, there are huge differences between the kinds of things people believe, from completely implausible claims about 5G implants to, more things that are at least humanly possible.
Yeah, like, information is never ending. Information is infinite. There's nonsense information. The moon is made out of cheese. There's probably somebody somewhere who believes that. Most likely they're not doing anyone any harm. Leave them alone. Let them believe it's made out of cheese. So, they're trying to basically lump in to this bracket. The person who believes the moon is made out of cheese and another person who believes certain narratives are not fully true, slightly exaggerated, and things that are being done on behalf of that narrative therefore are flawed. They are not the same thing. The guy or girl who believes the moon is made out of cheese is not the same as somebody who has gone through maybe a vast amount of information, real information sourced from real sources and experts and universities and studies and whatever. That's not the same thing, but to look at this, you're thinking, oh my God, 1 minute they're questioning the amount of this or the amount of that, or the seriousness of this or that. Next minute, they're wearing a tinfoil hat and they're howling at the moon. No. So you see what they're doing
and then
here.
Also, people's level of belief varies quite a lot. So I think that's one of the tricky things, and why you have to judge how far along is this person. Are they still just asking questions about it, and would an intervention be helpful here?
Okay, Dr. Collity.
Would an intervention be helpful here? What are we talking here? Like, should we get them sectioned? Can you still do that? Is a straitjacket perhaps required for that person? I mean, this is like, oh my God, they started vaping those vapes. Next thing they're doing crack in a side alley. You know, it's framed like that. Like, you know, you start off smoking, you know, whatever cigarettes is about today. I don't even know. I don't smoke. But and next minute, you know, you're passed out in an alley from doing meth. That's just completely disingenuous. It's just, you know, it's again to instill, to drive home, to ram home to all the normies out there that if you in any way don't buy everything we're selling you in the way we're selling it to you, and if you deviate from the given wisdom, you're akin to, like, you know, you could being infected with the zombie plague, or somebody who's going down the rabbit hole of drug addiction or whatever. That's the same way it's packaged, and it's a salutary tale. It's like, don't even think of it. If you know anybody who's even questioning what you see on the news, whatever news that is, or what you read in the paper, I mean, seek help for that person, because the curse of Dracula, the curse of Cthulhu is real, and it may come to your home, it may come to your household, and God help us all.